So as far as a child, to start up a child custody investigation, usually the first thing is I'm contacted. I'm the contact person for our agency. I will discuss over the telephone of why they believe they need us, the purpose they're contacting us, that being uh, the parent that has the child 50% of the time is never at home or always out drinking or whatever the allegations they are trying to tell us. If I believe that there is some merit to what they're saying, I'll next have them basically put us together an email breaking down who the other parent is, who the children are, what the custody is in place, what they believe the other parent's doing that is harmful or hurtful toward the child. Once we get that email in, we usually have a 24 to 48-hour process where me and my investigators sit down. We discuss each case as it comes in. They may think of something I hadn't thought about on a phone call that I'm discussing with the client. They may go, hey, the client, the potential client said this. Have we thought about this as an avenue to collect that evidence? So once we discuss that as a team, we're going to put in writing. Basically, we do a pre-operation, we put in a game plan, and we present it to the client. And we say, based on what you told us, this is what we're going to try to accomplish. At that time, they give me input on that's exactly what I want. Let's move forward, or that's not exactly what I want. I want to readdress this, or hey, I'm going a different route. If we do move forward at that point, we basically initiate our investigation on what our assignment is. We call it the assignment. And so we try to execute that assignment. We try to give them a time frame the best we can. Some cases may last a couple of days. Some cases, me and you both know can last years. But we don't involve the client within our investigation once we start. We're not an agency that's going to update them every time we get details on the case. We want to make sure our case is intact. We want to make sure that our investigators aren't in harm's way. And we don't want, that information to get out because that can definitely change the direction of an investigation. So that's one thing I try to make clear to our clients is you're not getting updates from us during this case. We don't want you on the phone with the opposing party in an argument saying, well, I'm having you watched. That's not good for the case, not good for us.
Yeah, I know that feeling. I know that one. I have that. We have that happen quite a bit
Yeah.
where the other attorney calls me up and says, "Well, you're about to file da 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 da, or you're going to do this," and I'm like,
Right.
"Well,
And
we
that's
just
why
talked
we've
about
kind of
that
stayed
last night."
at
Yeah,
that. So once we finish up our part of the case, so we're big on details. We document everything, collect our evidence. We do a written case summary report. We try to prepare it for court use. So if we are called, we can testify to all our findings. We try to lay it out very clear. It's just we handle it as a full investigation from start to finish. The thing is, can we get the evidence they're telling us is there or not? Until we actually really start diving into it, you know, people want stuff to happen. It may not always be the facts of the case.
yeah. When you deal with child custody and you're dealing with these cases, I think it's a Carl Sagan quote that I always think of that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence.
Right.
And the number of times I've had claims made and there's no evidence ever that will substantiate the claim,
Right.
or it unfortunately just comes out to be a false claim. Having the evidence up front to me as a lawyer, is just it's really critical. And I like the way you were saying that you kind of seal off the investigation. You got to get your marching orders. Everybody kind of agrees on the process that you're going to use, and then you insulate the process so the client can't accidentally divulge it, doesn't maybe have access to the information, and ends up altering the behavior of the person you're watching or the circumstances you're trying to observe, which to me is a very well thought out process to preserve the integrity of the investigation, and honestly probably increase the chances of successfully finding what you're looking for, or the absence if it's not there, because sometimes you've told me many times the evidence is just not there.
Right. And we've worked some cases together and we've been very successful in those cases, but we even limit, and I think one of the first cases we worked, I think you learned this on our process is that we don't even release information to the attorney very often until we're almost done with our case. And we have had, believe it or not, other attorneys tell the opposing attorney, my client hired a private investigator. That does no good for us. Because if that was my client and the opposing attorney told me that, I'd be on the phone with my client telling them, hey, you're being watched, change your behavior. So, I mean, it makes sure that we get a fair shot at doing our job. If they hire us and retain us to do a job, we want to do it the best we can do. We want to give it the best shot we got.